In 30 seconds, I'm gonna time you. You need to explain to me how to start my React Native project on MetaQuest and what steps are different from what I'm used to on the phone.
So we've been using React Native internally for building first-party applications on Quest for a pretty long time right now. And very recently, we were like, you know what? Why not just open it up to also third-party developers? You can remove a person from React Native, but you can never remove React Native back from them. There are underlying differences in the platform, but because it's React Native, it's able to abstract that out so that you are focused on your business logic and you're not fighting the platform itself.
I feel like this is the best time to be a React Native developer.
React Universe on Air, your go-to podcast for all things cross-platform.
Hey everyone, and welcome to React Universe on Air, podcast by Callstack. I'm Łukasz, your host for today, and this week we have something very special for you because this is a new platform that is coming to React Native. Unexpected one, honestly, in my opinion. And to discuss this, we have Jan Jaworski, software engineer at Callstack, who has been playing around with this platform for the last few weeks. And we have Ram from Meta, who's going to talk a little bit more about it. So let's start, Ram, maybe with you. Can you introduce yourself and can you let us know how people from React and React Native community might know you from?
Hey everyone, my name is Ram. I'm an engineering manager in Reality Labs Meta. And a part of my day job is ensuring that developers who build for the Quest virtual reality headset, they have all the tools and resources to be successful. What I mean by that is that my teams are responsible for everything from the documentation to the documentation infrastructure to how do you set up the Quest headset, all the way to once your app is ready for the Quest headset, the virtual reality headset, how do you publish it to the App Store, and then how do you start making money? While this is my current day job, some of you may know me from back in the day when I was actually on stage as a part of Microsoft. So I actually used to work at Microsoft, and back in the day, I used to work on this project called Code Push. Code Push, for folks who are not familiar with, is a way to update your React Native apps over the air so that you can ensure that your customers are getting the latest versions of React Native apps. So I used to do that. And then after that, I had joined Facebook, or as the company was called back then, and I joined the React Native team at Facebook. And a lot of my work was primarily around React Native performance and ensuring that React Native was something that people could use with the new architecture. So you may have seen me lingering around talking about React Native performance, React Native developer tooling and stuff back in the day at conferences like ReactConf and others. And then since then, I kind of took a detour and I went and started working on Quest. But you know how they say you can remove a person from React Native, but you can never remove React Native back from them. So I'm basically back here talking about React Native yet again, and I'm super excited to talk about how we have enabled developers who use React Native to build apps for a completely new platform, the virtual reality headset Quest that Meta releases.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much for this introduction. Thank you for introducing us to this new platform because I forgot to say its name in my intro, but you did it perfectly. It's funny how you mentioned this little tool called Code Push, and that we have you to thank you for it, to thank you for working on it, and I feel like this is one of the biggest driver and the biggest differentiator of React Native versus some other tools that we have. Not Code Push anymore, but all of those different methods of publishing the OTA updates for our applications. Okay, but I'm sidetracking right now. Janek, how about we go to you? Jan Jaworski, React Native software developer at Callstack. Can you tell us about yourself and your experience with this new platform?
Sure. Hello, everyone. I'm excited to be here. So, as Łukasz mentioned, I'm a software developer at Callstack. My main expertise is in working on React and React Native apps, both for web and mobile. I also build apps for TVs, and recently I've been given opportunity to explore a new React Native platform, which is MetaQuest. That's kind of exciting topic. I went into it not knowing much, and so I didn't know what to expect initially. But after last couple of months working with it, I'm quite positively surprised how easy it was to pick it up, how I could utilize my React and React Native knowledge on this platform, and also to find out maybe what are the differences and bring this information to the wider community so that they are aware what challenges they might encounter when developing for this platform.
And you wrote a bunch of different blog posts, right? You can plug it right here so people know that they're dealing with celebrity.
Yeah, sure. Feel free to check out my articles and let me know if you like them, or if you have any questions or ideas what I should explore next, then I'm happy to answer. On LinkedIn, I saw some people asking about how to measure performance or how to test apps for MetaQuest. So yeah, those topics are still in my area that I need to investigate. But yeah, if there is anything specific that you want to know, please let me know.
As you may gathered already, we're talking today about MetaQuest device from Meta, obviously, and how we use React Native on that device. And we have two sides of that discussion. We have Ram from Meta team invested in building that device, in building the developer experience of that device. And we have Jan, who spent a few months working on a device directly, so from both sides. Let's maybe start with explaining what MetaQuest is as a category of devices, what this category enables us to do, like what are the main premises of that category, and then MetaQuest specifically, what this is specifically in detail, what is based on, and how we can use React Native on this. And I guess, Ram, that would be a good place for you to jump in and explain that.
Absolutely. And maybe this is also a time to tell you guys a story. So put on your hats, get cozy, and get ready for the story of how it all started. So I think the way it started was, if you look at what MetaQuest really is, it's basically an Android device. It's basically based on top of AOSP, and you can pretty much literally ADB shell into it and mess around with it. So any developer who builds on the headset, they start building it with using typical familiar Android tools. Also, I don't know if folks remember, but the React Native team almost 3 years ago had this big blog post about how React Native is a multi-platform story and how we are trying to go after a multi-platform or multi-platform access so that people can just write once and have their code show up natively on different platforms. And Quest is a good testament of how that is possible. Specifically, what happens is, to get started, I think the best way to think about it is what does 2D apps in a virtual reality headset mean? A lot of people have that question. Now, if you typically think about virtual reality, you would think about games and 3D environments, right? And all that is great. But effectively, one thing you will notice is even if you have a real good 3D environment, there are multiple places in which you need a 2D screen or a flat screen so that you can interact with those. And these are typically things like menus or like typical productivity actions that you have to take. What we inside Meta realized is React Native is a great technology. Instead of having to go build like 3D knobs and stuff, if we just leverage React Native for all of those 2D services, that will make it extremely powerful and it will make our developers extremely productive. So internally, we started using React Native for a lot of Quest's first-party apps. Apps like, as soon as you turn on the headset, the feed that you see, that is actually written in React Native. Similarly, when you want to go purchase a game, the whole like store page, the product details page, those are also written in React Native. And we also noticed this trick that it's not just like one panel, but you could have a panel and a 3D background. These are all enabled via React Native. So we've been using React Native internally for building first-party applications on Quest for a pretty long time right now. And very recently, we were like, you know what? Why not just open it up to also third-party developers? So that's how the whole thing started. And effectively, what you get today is the ability to show 2D panels in a 3D space. So as an Android developer, as an iOS developer, building using React Native, you probably already know how to deal with 2D panels. Now you have the power to show these 2D panels in a spatialized format. So you can pin them around, you can like move them around in a 3D space, but what shows inside those panels is still your favorite React Native applications. So that's how the whole thing started. And effectively, I think the big takeaway here is that React Native is based on Android. Like when you write for Android, you literally just use Android primitives. And that's why it's super simple to get started on Quest, because Quest effectively is based on the AOSP platform.
Yeah, and I guess to your point there about the 2D panels in 3D space, even this is my perspective, even if your end goal is to have like a fully immersed 3D platform, it's always easier to start with these 2D panels. It's always easier to start with something that you already have, maybe for some other platforms, and then like gradually move to those like 3D scenes or like this 3D experiences, instead of going all in on those like work-heavy workflows to develop your app. Jan, do you have something to add there in order like your initial view of MetaQuest when you first got your hand on that device? Like, what did you think?
I guess that the first impression was that how easy it was to get started with. I used Expo. I initialized the project just as I would do with mobile apps, and then I just connected to the MetaQuest device to my laptop and was able to get started with. So yeah, seeing the app show up on the device was quite exciting, being able to interact either with hands or controllers. So that was a bit different, but also still familiar. And then maybe exploring what I can do with it and what are the possibilities is something that got me really interested. And maybe to what Ram mentioned is that last week I was at the React Native London conference, and what someone mentioned on stage that Meta also created an Instagram app using React Native for MetaQuest. So this shows how easy it is to develop apps and how good the experience can be.
Ram, you mentioned that the MetaQuest platform is built on top of Android AOSP. Can you elaborate some more on that?
So AOSP stands for Android Open Source Project. This is basically the fundamental Android open source operating system, on top of which, say, Google builds its own version, but there are also a lot of third-party vendors that use AOSP and build on top of it. So I think the biggest difference between AOSP and what you see on your Android phones that you buy from the regular market is that AOSP does not come with Google-specific services. So these things are called GMS or Google Mobile Services. These mobile services are things like notifications or things like in-app purchases, and those are Google-specific. So AOSP does not come by default with all of those services, and that's the only big difference between AOSP or that like other vendors run and what you get on your phones. So that's one difference in the platform. And I think apart from that, all the other things that things like activities and intents and how do you like show your UI and all of that, that's basically mostly the same. In fact, so much so that you can even use things like material design on AOSP phones. To give you other examples of where AOSP is really popular, the Amazon Fire phone, I believe, is also based on AOSP. Similarly, there are a lot of like these non-Google phones out there in the market. It's not a great majority, but there are multiple devices that are based on it. Interestingly, AOSP is also used for non-phone devices. The Quest is obviously one, but AOSP is common in like medical devices, for example. It's a great operating system to start with, and hence a lot of hardware vendors who are not going just after the phone market typically end up using AOSP as their starting point.
I think Amazon example is a very fitting one to my next segue, to my next question to you, because they were building their Fire TV sticks with AOSP for the longest time, for like 8 years or something, or maybe more than that. But then they released their Vega OS just a few months ago, the operating system that they've been working on for many years, that is built not on Android open source project, but that is built from scratch by them, and that has React Native as their first party language, as a platform, that platform is specifically built for React Native. So I guess my question to you is, why do you as Meta bet on AOSP, Android open source project, and not maybe investing in something that is like native to React Native?
That's actually a great question. And I think it also has to do with the underlying tech on which like it doesn't. So just because we are not building on AOSP doesn't mean we cannot not use React Native. what I mean by that is, so Vega is actually a pretty brilliant way in which Amazon is building their OS, and it's making React Native as a first-class citizen in the languages. I also believe that there is a way to do this with the Android system. But typically what happens, if you think about it, if you take a step back, is if you look at the Expo Go app, the Expo Go app that you download on your phone, right? In a way, if your Expo Go app was a part of your operating system, you are able to run multiple React Native JavaScript-based applications on top of it. And effectively, a system like that can still make React Native first-class citizen. So if the question is, hey, how do I ensure that we have this Android system, but we don't have React Native as a first-class citizen? What can we do? Expo Go-like examples are really good, but they share a single React native runtime, and then you have JavaScript running on top of it. Now, to the second part of your question, which is why AOSP? Why not a specific operating system? One of the things we want to do with us is, in our case, we also want to encourage other platforms to come over. So while I'm a big fan of React Native, I also believe that there are multiple other really good frameworks out there that people are using. In fact, I'm actually on the board of the Apache Cordova project, or the PhoneGap project. And PhoneGap is a great technology for a lot of people to use. And because it's now based on Android, you can not only bring Jetpack Compose, you can also bring React Native, which is one of the most popular platforms out there. You can also bring in Cordova or PhoneGap, Flutter, and a bunch of these other Android-based applications. So for now, I think, I can't speak to the overall meta strategy in terms of operating systems, but I do believe that this pretty much opens up a world where, hey, are you an Android developer? Come over, port your app, and you will have the first mover advantage. There are not as many 2D apps yet on the store, and this is something that we just opened up last year. So this is a great way for Android developers to go start exploring this new operating system. And I think that's why I think this AOSP story makes a lot of sense.
I like what you say about the first mover advantage, and I think this is something that Janek can tell us some more about. Jan just wrote an article. Okay, first thing first, let me lay the groundwork. So Meta announced their developer competition to build applications for Meta Quest, and Janek, I think 1 day or 2 days later, after the competition started, created a blog post saying, hey, if you want to take part in this competition, here is what you can build. And also, from this first mover advantage, there were some apps in that article that you would not build for phones right now because there already exist. So Janek, can you tell us about the experiences that you proposed people build for MetaQuest?
I explored the topic a little bit, and comparing it to maybe what can be built for mobile and what's missing on MetaQuest, I came up with a suggestion to maybe build a meditation app, which seems like a great opportunity because when you're in VR, you can much more easily immerse yourself. You have also the spatial audio, so what you can do is create a great visualizations using libraries that you probably know and love, like Reanimated, Skia, and any other visualization libraries for React Native. They worked great out of the box, so that's one of the things. Porting any games, whether those are maybe simple games like card games or even 3D games, you probably can integrate with. Recently, the React Native Godot library came out, so if you want to use something more complex and do 3D experiences, that's also possible. Making sports apps or anything else, maybe some productivity, whether it's something social where you can maybe chat with people or do something unique that you wouldn't even do on a phone because you can use controllers, gestures, and control the environment so that user can be focused more on the person that they are talking with or do something unique. What I'm thinking is that, for example, on Apple Watch, you can send a heartbeat to another person, so it feels a bit more personal and intimate. And I'm guessing with MetaQuest, you can also do something similar with audio-visual experience.
If I may add, I think I also want to call out something very special here about the Quest. So unlike a phone, which is typically a portrait mode phone, the Quest, you have your entire 3D in front of you. And for a 2D panel, you can not only expand the size to make the 2D panel look like a tablet, you can actually expand it and make it much, much bigger. And I think this shines very well because like the meditation app that Jan, you were talking about, here your meditation app is no longer restricted to a tiny portrait mode, but you can actually make the visualization significantly bigger, almost make it look like a theater. In fact, talking about theaters, if you have a video app or a media app, you can actually now not only see your videos in a landscape, but make it much, much bigger so that you have a much more immersive theater-like experience. In a similar fashion, you are talking about social interactions, right? So you know how like on Android, when you're doing something, let's say we're having this podcast, I'm looking at you through my front camera. Quest has this really fun interactivity where Quest, there's no inner-facing camera, right? So what Quest does is it starts showing you your avatar. So though you are like having a front-facing camera, when you access the front-facing camera, instead of showing it yourself, it shows your avatar. And remember, Quest avatars are pretty powerful. They have the ability to like mimic a lot of your facial features. So even though you won't show yourself, what you'll do is you'll actually start showing yourself as an avatar, which makes it even more fun. So there are a lot of these like works about or these fun parts about the Quest ecosystem where when a 2D app comes over, a app can actually start taking advantage of without a lot of work, and then suddenly your app becomes magical and seems that it's actually built for Quest in the first place.
You're listening to React Universe on Air, your go-to podcast for all things cross-platform with React and React Native.
Let's stick here for a little bit because I want to understand it more. And honestly, like we've been talking for about 20 minutes and we were not talking about React Native almost at all. We were just exploring MetaQuest and like VR experiences and like what kind of apps make sense on VR. I want to stay here for just a little bit longer because something that you said struck me. So like, what are the other differences between 2D VR app versus mobile tablet app versus web app? Aside from I can resize my window for my app, or I use some other controllers, or talk about controllers as well. I want to hear about them as well.
Absolutely. And I think this is also where React Native's multi-platform strategy starts shining. Because if you remember, or if you think about it, in case of React Native, you're not pretending to be the native platform. React Native actually has native modules that make it actually work with the native platform, right? And I think those are the big things that show up. So for example, let's start with controllers. So you know how in React Native, you actually don't think about touches and stuff, and your touches are actually exposed to you directly, right? Thanks to React Native, we can actually do the same thing on Quest. So on Quest, you can use controllers, but you can also touch the panel screens. And because it is built on top of React Native, as a developer, you don't have to worry about these differences at all. You just react to your like event listeners like you would do in a React Native application, and those things just start showing up and just start working. So I think this is a good example of there are underlying differences in the platform, but because it's React Native, it's able to abstract that out so that you are focused on your business logic and you're not fighting the platform.
Are you saying that I don't have to implement how I interact with controllers because this is already handled by Android actually under the hood? And what gets exposed to me as React Native developer in terms of like moving the inputs?
It's exactly the same set of inputs that you get when you use React Native on the phone. There's like almost zero difference. If you want, you can actually implement the controller SDK, but that's like, hey, if I want to specifically use controllers, sure, go for it. But you can choose not to, and you can just say, hey, I'm just going to use what I use on my phone, and things will just start working.
Yeah, I think what I can add is that when you see the MetaQuest, you might think, oh, everything is different. Like I have to rethink my approach for making apps. And while I was playing with it, it's like, oh, I just use the same features, the same APIs. And there is really high chance that if I think, can I use something? Can I use this tool? Can I profile it the same way as I do on mobile? I would say over 90% of cases, the answer is yes. So that's quite positive. And the only difference that Ram mentioned before is that the Google Play services are not available. But I played around with the big library of Expo libraries and other the ones from React Native community. And there were only a handful of ones that didn't work. So like notifications, payments, and one other like location. But thanks to the cooperation from Meta with Expo team, there are already available alternatives. So what you need to do is just install a library. If you share the same code between, let's say, mobile and MetaQuest, maybe have like a conditional which one to use, and you should be good to go, which is quite surprising and I guess positive news, because of how different you may think the experience should be.
So I guess you already started talking about React Native on MetaQuest. Let's go there. 25 minutes in, let's start talking about React Native in React Universe on Air podcast. If you follow React and React Native news, you might have noticed that the React Conf conference, second time in a row, was as much dedicated to React.js, React for Web, as it was dedicated for React Native. And on the second day, the keynote from React team on that React Conf conference that I'm proud wearer of a t-shirt from, I think it was Nico Corti on the stage that presented React Native for MetaQuest. And he said, you can start working on it right now. It's available. And he showcased, I guess, 2 different apps. And one of those was created with help from developers at Callstack. Janek, is it easy to create this kind of application that Nico Corti showed on the stage?
I can confirm that the answer is yes. I think the statement learn once, write everywhere or run everywhere is true with React Native, and like going into this new platform is a confirmation of this statement, and how easy it is to transfer the skills that you acquire throughout the years of working whether on React Web or React Native and mobile apps to this new platform, because of the underlying OS that is based on Android AOSP, but also through the same primitives that React Native exposes, that you get like really great experience and such a rich libraries that you can pick and choose for your application.
So in 30 seconds, I'm going to time you. You need to explain to me how to start my React Native project on MetaQuest and what steps are different from what I'm used to on the phone. Are you ready?
Okay.
Okay, I'm starting the stopwatch. Go.
Okay, so go to Expo Dev page, set up everything that they tell you to do. Also look for my article, follow other steps.
Good one.
And you're good to go. Yeah, but actually, there is not much that you need. You need to enable the developer mode, or even with Expo Go, you don't need to. Just go to Meta Horizon Store, install Expo Go, run Expo on your device, scan the QR code, and you're ready to go.
Okay, that was 37 seconds.
You may also create new project, or even try to running your app, and it will be great.
Ram, do you have something to add to that brief explanation how to get started?
I got to time me too, or do I have to?
No. You can just fill in the blanks if you found some in Jan's answer.
I mean, not really blanks, but at least I don't have time, so I don't have to worry about like timing myself. So I can go as slow as I want to. But effectively, I think the best way to think about it is just plug in a Quest device, and everything will be pretty much the same. In fact, your computer will think that the Quest is an Android headset or Android phone. So apart from that, I think there are no changes. It's the same thing. Expo Go. So thanks to Expo people, Expo Go is now available on the Quest store. So that's a great place to get started. Even otherwise, if you want to like actually start working on your device, pretend like your headset is a Android phone, and you should be mostly good to go.
Okay.
Yeah. This allows you to even like open the web editor, so you don't even need to install any dev tools. Or if you have them installed already, it's just one command line away. Scan the QR code, load the bundle, and you're ready to go. If you want to build something more complex, then you can read my article, set up developer mode, install all the dependencies that you need, but they are the same as for other React Native apps, and you're ready to go. So yeah, that's, I guess, positive news.
And I think, how like on Android phones, you have to tap the build number 7 times to set up developer mode. It's a similar story. You just have to go inside a setting and like, you don't have to tap anything 7 times at least, but you go toggle a switch and you should be good to go. So I think like that's the setting up developer mode. And once both Android phone and the Quest headset are in developer mode, the workflow is fairly the same.
Okay, so I'm going to ask you both a very difficult question. It's November 17th, Monday, November 17th, 2025. When we record this, do I have to own a MetaQuest device in order to create apps for it in React Native? Or is there an emulator or a simulator of this device that I can run locally on my machine?
Okay, so this is the part where we probably have to use the bleep stuff. So I can announce that today, unfortunately, you will have to go use the Quest headset, but we are working on an emulator. And the emulator will be available in a bleep date. I mean, to be completely honest, jokes apart, I think realistically, we understand that not everyone has a Quest headset. So we are working on an emulator and we're hopefully trying to get it out as soon as we can.
Oh, I was really hoping for you to say, by the time everyone listens to it, the emulator is already out with a lot of confidence in your team and with all of the hardworking people working on that problem. But I guess...
You know what? You get it. You get your wish. By the time every React Native developer on the planet listens to this podcast, the emulator will be available.
Ram, also, you know what we can do? We can just delay the release of this podcast.
That is fair, but I do want to ensure that people know that you can develop for Quest. So, you know what? Let's just get the podcast out and we will eventually get to the world where the emulator is available for everyone.
Okay, Jan, so like from your perspective, working on the device, like how different is it from working, not from the product perspective, but from developer experience perspective, working for something that you can see only when you wear the headset?
It's maybe a bit of a challenge because of that. You sometimes need to switch between like developing on your computer and then checking the results on MetaQuest. But yeah, while exploring that, I noticed that you can cast your screen to MetaQuest. So basically you can stay immersed in this environment and you can have multiple windows. So it's really fun experience that some people like to work with like 1 or 2 monitors. And here you can have open like 5 different screens and just look around. They can be closer to you. They can be further away from you. But what Ram mentioned, the simulator is coming soon. And I think that will be great. First, if you don't have device and you want to maybe try out developing for MetaQuest before you invest into this ecosystem, it will be a great way to get started. But also that maybe you might not have your device close to you or available at the moment, and you can still test new features, play around with it, and then test on real device after the fact.
Something very fun that you mentioned in your response was inside virtual reality, you can have your app running in the top left corner, and then you can have 2 different windows of code editing, and then you can have another window with, I don't know, like mockups for your application, and you can do all of that in that virtual environment.
Yes. And you can even have the pass-through view, so you're still aware of your environment. So whether you're in the office or at your home and you see someone walking by, it's not like you're not knowing what's happening around you, but you can still even interact with people. So that's super fun.
That honestly sounds dope.
Yeah,
that's really fun.
It feels a bit cyberpunk, I guess, that you see yourself in a mirror with this cool headset, and you know that you can see things that other people don't, interact with them, and maybe either increase your productivity or make the environment more interesting.
I think like this augmented reality mode is actually pretty cool. Like when I started, I actually started using this to do daily chores, like wash my vessels or like do stuff like that. I just had a headset on. I could see through because there's cameras in the front end to just project what I see. So I started seeing through. I started doing chores, but then I realized I can actually run remote desktop. And that's what Jan was talking about, where you run remote desktop and have like 2 really large monitors where you're doing this work. And then you probably have like a documentation or a browser open on the side to read how to do it. And then you have your Expo go up on the center. And as you're typing, so because it's faster, you can actually now see your keyboard and your mouse and stuff. So instead of investing in like really large monitors, you could just plop the headset on. And I have an extended battery for the headset, so it like doesn't die out in like 3 hours. It can like go for 6. So I just plop it on, and that's a great way to actually develop. And without having like take it off, put it on, take it off, put it on, and so on.
Awesome. And I guess that's a good selling point. I guess buying a Meta Quest device might be cheaper than buying like 2 very large, expensive 4K monitors.
No, not even 2. You can feel like you have 5. So that's even cheaper. You can infinitely scale. Just turn around and you have more real estate available.
So that's like the editing part and like developing part. What about the tools for debugging the application to, I don't know, monitor performance, etc.? How is this different from a regular React Native experience?
I guess if I had to answer it, it will be a really boring answer. Just use the same tools that you know and love, whether it's React Dev Tools, Reassure, or whatever else you like.
Can I still use console logs? Those are my favorites.
Yeah, console log is the best. And now you have it in virtual reality, so it's even more immersive.
Yeah, so you know what's better than console log? Immersive console log.
Yeah.
Yeah, but this is maybe something that I haven't explored yet, but because it's Android, you can use Android Studio, you can use their native tools for debugging. So if the problem is on the native side, or you need to do maybe memory or CPU profiling, this is also a great way to do it. And from what I've seen, Meta has a plugin for Android Studio where they configure your IDE to be more productive with MetaQuest.
I think, in fact, talking about performance, tools like Perfetto, tools like your regular Android Studio Profiler works. In fact, what I was also able to do is, these days everyone is using AI, right? So what I was able to do is I was able to take a React Native application, use Perfetto, and feed those Perfetto logs into my Claude code. And then Claude actually told me, what do I fix? Including, hey, these are all the different places. So I was also able to use the React Profiler and Perfetto. And when I fed all of this in, Claude was able to tell me, hey, these are the places where the recomposition happens. These are the places where you probably have to use memo and ensure that you don't re-render the thing multiple times. Basically, just continue doing what you're doing on Android side of the world, and most of the things will just work.
So like the initial answer from Janek, 90-something% of things just work as you would expect from regular React Native Android development.
Also, when developing apps, the thing that you need to keep in mind is that apps for MetaQuest may have different design requirements. So, for example, buttons may have require it to be a bit bigger, typography more readable, and so on. But those are slight differences. And yeah, it's already documented, so you can just go through documentation and catch those differences. But while exploring this topic, there is Expo MCP, and also Meta released their MetaQuest MCP, so you can plug it into your AI and ask directly, like, oh, I already have this great React Native app that I want to port to MetaQuest, but I just don't want to maybe do the same thing because it will the experience will be worse. I want to tweak some things. So this is the great way to get started and explore.
Let me just recap what you just said. So I have my React Native weather app that displays weather app in Warsaw, Wrocław, and sorry, Ram, where do you live?
I live on the East Coast, so I'm near Washington, D.C.
Okay, and Washington, D.C. So that's like my dumb weather app for only 3 cities in the world, nothing more. And I want to port it to MetaQuest. I can just plug it directly to some kind of AI that will change the typography, make it resizable, change and what about the Google Play services? Will it
can
also
replace? Yep, it can. So we have a mechanism where it sees, hey, these are the Google Play services and the Quest OS services. They are very, very similar in terms of function signatures. So it'll just replace the exports. In fact, because it's also the Google, it's also the React native modules. It'll just swap those native modules and you're good to go.
Okay. Well, I guess there's no work for humans then, correct?
I mean, it is scary. Like, I'll give you an example. I wanted to build a clock app. I wanted to see. So the good news is React Native is like super popular. So LLMs already understand how to build React Native apps. And what I was able to do is I went to Cursor. I told Cursor, hey, can you go build me a clock app? And in half an hour, the clock app was ready, working and optimized for Quest. And within 1 hour, I was able to submit it to the App Store. So it was as simple as just starting from nothing, absolutely nothing, then saying, hey, build it for the phone, port it over the request. And now I was able to get the app running thanks to the LLM here.
So everyone listening to this, if you're listening to it while the developer competition still is happening, just take all of your projects and port it to MetaQuest with AIs and see what happens. I'm not saying that you will win the award, because I imagine the competition should be fierce. The developers creating those kind of apps, let the best one win, I guess. But also it seems incredibly easy to be a React Native developer nowadays. We've already had 2 huge platforms, iOS and Android, in production mode for 10 years, 10 plus maybe years. And then new platforms like web and some kinds of TVs also been in production for more than 5 years. And then new platforms from TV coming with React Native as their core language, and also new platforms from VR space with huge support for React Native coming up. So I feel like this is the best time to be a React Native developer. I'm really glad that I chose this path. I guess 7-8 years ago for myself.
And maybe to add, recently the React compiler came out, so it makes it even easier to develop those apps. So I guess after 10 years, the React Native ecosystem is maturing really well, and it's a great opportunity that you can target so many platforms in such an easy way.
And I just want to add one more thing. I think many React cons ago, back in the day, Tom Occhino, who used to be the director of React, I think he now is at Vercel, he made the statement about how React has started democratizing web development and how React Native took it to mobile applications, right? I think React continues on that path, where there was a time when building 3D games and building for the virtual reality headset was really expensive and hard to learn. But with this change, I'm actually hoping that they are able to democratize it even more, and more developers who know React Native are just able to come to the Quest platform and start building some of these really good experiences.
Oh yeah, and I really like how just 5 minutes ago we were talking about porting all of those applications, right? So back in the day, if you wanted to support a new platform, you would hire a new team that knows a new language and new framework, and then you would port your app screen by screen, wireframe by wireframe, functionality by functionality. Right now, all you need is that your app already is written in the most popular language in the world, which is I guess TypeScript with React, and then it's gonna work. Jan just told us it's gonna 90% work with no issues, with no differences, and then those last 10% can be swapped with different libraries or with different styling and just automatically work on new category of device. It's not even a new kind of phone, it's a new category of device. And I guess especially in this XR, VR, AR space, we are getting new devices coming up monthly with different paradigms. Even at Meta, you have virtual reality and augmented reality. You have glasses and you have VR headsets. So I'm not sure if you can speak about that. What is powering the AR glasses that you have with Ray-Bans, etc.?
I will not be speaking about that.
Okay. Cool. Maybe next time.
Maybe next time, maybe soon.
Maybe next time we will be talking about React Native on those classes.
Why not?
Oh,
Why
yeah.
not? I mean, that's the whole React Native multi-platform dream, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yes.
I guess that's a good place for us to end this informative podcast about MetaQuest and React Native on MetaQuest. Is there anything like last thing that you want to like just throw out there to our listeners, to our viewers?
For me, I just want to see the amazing apps that React Native developers can bring to the headset. You guys are already building apps. So, hey, folks, try those apps on the headset, see how it looks, customize it for the headsets, and I think you'll be able to unlock a whole new category of users and a whole new category of experiences.
Janek?
I think I can say the same. Just go build new awesome apps and publish it on Horizon Metastore. I think that even though the VR is out for many years, it still feels like early years of Android or iOS, where you can bring your app to this device and gain some popularity or new connections that will be fruitful in the future.
Okay, cool. Thank you guys for joining me on this episode of React Universe on Air podcast. Thanks everyone for listening to us. Like this episode, throw us some comments. We are here to respond to your questions, and we will see you in the next one. Thank you.
Thank you. See you. Bye-bye.